What was it about? Yes, I can read. I'm not going to read it right now. Is that okay? Yeah. I can't remember. I'll be honest. But we can talk. That's okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get started today. A couple of friendly reminder announcements. One, Mr. Cuby came on that reminded everybody, but I'm going to just put one more plug in there. Tomorrow's election day. Please, if you are 18, please go and vote. You can vote or you can register same day. Take your school ID. It is voter registration qualified, so you can literally just take your school ID and that will be enough to get you registered. Although you would also need a current address. If you take your driver's license that has your current address on it, that works as well. This is a polling place. I know that the rec center is a polling place. If you just type in, literally, I just did it with somebody 5 minutes ago, where's my polling place in Google, you can find out, okay? Please vote, okay? I can't say it enough times, and I really strongly believe it. If you are not 18, if you're not eligible to vote, remind your family, remind those around you that are 18. It's very, very important. So anyway, I want to put that out there. Second thing has to do with college stuff. I spent half of my weekend knocking on doors to remind other people to vote. The other half of my weekend I spent hanging out with physics teachers from around the state of Iowa. And some good friends of mine, because I meet with them about once a year, teachers, professors from St. Ambrose Gentlemen, I would really appreciate it if you would be quiet. Okay? If you don't care about what I'm talking about, then just think about something else. But please don't talk because it's distracting to me and it's distracting to other people as well. Okay? A little respect would be appreciated. I talked to some friends of mine who are professors from St. Ambrose, which is in Davenport. She teaches engineering and physics. Some friends from Loris and Clark, which are both up in Dubuque, as well as friends from Dordt College and Morningside College out in western Iowa. They're all super excited to get good science students. They are looking for people like you. My friend from Loris, not only did she say we want students, we also have money. We have money to give to students. So she just earned an NSF, which is a National Science Foundation grant. So the National Science Foundation gives money to researchers to do research. So like modern science research happens through their money. The other thing that they spend their money on is education and scholarships. And she just got a grant to give scholarships, 4-year scholarships to students interested in studying STEM fields at Loris. They have other wonderful things, including tutoring and seminars in terms of how to study and also how to get jobs. Like there's a lot in there. They don't have a physics major, but they do have biochemistry, biology, biological research, chemistry, computer science, data science, engineering, math, and neuroscience. There's lots of good STEM stuff up there. So anyway, I would strongly encourage you, again, I'm not saying Loris is for everybody. It's gorgeous. It's a nice little campus. But I want you to look around, find a good place for you. And if this sounds interesting to you, then feel free to take a flyer. I've got a few right here, and apply. If you need anything, let me know. You don't have to have like a full college or a full recommendation for this, but you can put me down as your contact if you need to. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because I want to make sure that you know that there are people that want you to go to their school, okay? You don't have to be the #1 strongest physics student in order to get scholarships like that, okay? They are there. They're trying to help encourage students from all walks of life. So, questions about that before we go on? Okay. So, yes, we've got lots of stuff to hand back today. So, I'm going to hand back your free fall lab analysis. Okay, we're going to talk through that. I'm going to hand back your Unit 3 tests. We're going to, I'm not going to go over that, but I do want to give that back to you so that you have that feedback. Literally graded these this morning, so there's not a total, and I have not recorded any of this stuff. So you want to make sure that I get it back so that I can actually put it in the grade book. Nobody got a 0 on either of them. So make sure that I get those back, okay? After that, and the reason that I want to point this out is that we do have homework to go over and problem solving that we have to do today. We've got to get here because we've got to launch horizontally today at an angle tomorrow so that we can get ready to quiz on Thursday. Okay, there is homework. I did not get it copied up here, but I can pull it up later so you can find out what the homework is as well. Okay, Questions so far? All right. Henry, will you push that back so that it doesn't get knocked over or anything, and also so that you don't play with it too much? I just don't want anything to happen to it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And without needing to be super obnoxious about it. All right. So here we go. Yeah, I totally want you to leave the room. Was there anybody else that wasn't here? Sorry. Get out.
Yeah, seriously. Let's just talking about how do you know you guys need it? So I lost. You're right.
I'm going to have you say that out loud to everybody in just a minute.
I forgot what type of line.
Or you can just sit in the regular spot.
You can't see that because I just had to close that up.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know that a lot of you, when you were going through this, were like, oh man, I didn't get it right. I don't know what to do. And I want you to remember, and I want you to be aware of the fact that just because you don't know exactly what to do does not mean that you can't be successful on something like this, okay? One of my friends that I saw this weekend who also teaches AP Physics, he and I were talking a lot about trying to get students ready for the AP exam. And he does stuff like this, and I'm totally stealing a bunch of his stuff, so look forward to that in the next few months. But this is the kind of thing that you're going to see. And on it in a timed manner, this is the kind of thing that you're going to see. So part of what we're going to do between now and May is to get you ready to think this way, right? So this is kind of a first try. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of you, even the ones that looked at me like this, oh my gosh, did pretty well at getting some or a lot of points, even if you didn't know exactly what to do, okay? That's what I want you to be aware of. So I do want to talk this through with you. I am not going to give you an opportunity to do corrections on this, okay? Because we'll do more of these as we go, okay? And I think that that's an okay deal for this particular situation. I want you to understand it. I want you to know how to do it. So, gentlemen, are you okay? Do you need something from me? Do you need to find different places to sit so that you're not so distracted? Okay. Figure it out. You're in a college level course. You need to act not like a third grader. You need to act like a college kid. Okay? Okay. All right. So, what was the initial velocity of the ball, y'all said? 0. It was, yes. There are multiple answers for how to do this, what you're going to graph on the x-axis and y-axis. And I do want you to know that there are lots of options. The way that I had kind of thought that you might approach it, I was going to look for, there's my data, is the following. You know that D is equal to VIT plus 1/2 AT squared. You know that the initial velocity is 0. And I think this is what I wrote on the board for you, was that y equals mx, right? So we've done this a few times, this whole idea of linearizing. A lot of you wanted to figure out what the velocity was at any given point. And so a number of people said, well, velocity is distance over time, And I've got a distance and I've got a time so I can find a velocity. There's a problem with that plan. And that is that this equation only works if acceleration is 0. Okay? This equation only works if the acceleration is 0. This equation right here actually lives in the pink equation if you take the a out. Do you see that? It's right there. D is equal to VIT. Boom, it's right there. Okay? So if you did that, you still got most of the points. I just took off a point for finding that velocity because it's not really quite right. But the rest of it you could totally still get points for. See what I'm saying? Okay? It's not an all or nothing kind of game. So really the way that I had hoped that you might approach it, and if you want to write all over this, you can. I need to collect them back, but you'll get them back as we're studying for AP exams and things like that. So if you want to write on here, preferably in pen, just so you can kind of keep track, okay, is that I would have encouraged you to make t squared your x value, to make d your y value, and then your slope is 1/2 a. Okay? I also had students who did 1/2 t squared, and then your slope is just a, and that's fine too. That's totally okay. All right? Those would be 2 really good choices. Okay? Again, there are other choices as well, but those would be 2 really good choices. If you did just d and t, you don't get quite a line. And the problem with that is that then your slope really isn't, it's not linear. So your slope doesn't really represent a. So that was the sticking point there. Okay? So hopefully you understand where you lost points if you lost them here. Okay? And hopefully it doesn't feel like it's too much. If you feel like it doesn't make sense why or what points you got taken off, please talk to me because I want to make sure that it's clear. Okay? So you moved forward with whatever data you decided on. So when I wrote this out, then I had another column here that was time squared in seconds squared. And then I figured out my times, my squared times. But again, you don't have to do it that way. Then you're going to graph it. And I'm just looking at my rubric here. You're going to set up to use most of the graph paper, okay? As long as you didn't do it just in the bottom corner, you're okay there. You graph the data points that you said you were going to graph. There were a couple of people that I think kind of changed their minds partway through, and so I got a little confused, so I may have taken a point off there if you told me you were going to graph one thing and then you ended up graphing another thing, because I wanted to make sure that I could find that continuity and that consistency, so that was the only place that maybe people lost points. Most of you were awesome with your labels and units, but as always, make sure you don't forget labels and units. Don't forget your best fit line, okay? You're going to linearize data all the time, friends, and when you linearize it, you got to draw best fit lines. And then you have to show me your calculations for the slope. So I had a lot of people that drew a line and then told me the slope was 4. Okay? I don't know where you got that from. You need to actually show me the calculation. On the AP exam, they require that you show that calculation. So this point and this point, find the slope, here it is. Okay? But again, even if you totally didn't have any idea what to do on the planning, if you did this with some data, it's all good. You can still get 6 out of the 15 points just for graphing some data. You with me there? Okay? And then in the conclusion section, what's the value of your graph slope? So whatever it was. Experimental value means what did you find? So that means, like, if you had your slope as the 1/2 a, so you get something around 5, okay, then the experimental value is going to be 2 of that, so it's going to be something around 10. That's what I was looking for there, okay. I think some of you interpreted experimental as like the theoretical value, but that was what we wanted down here. How does this compare to what we expected? We expected it to be 9.8, right, when we dropped our balls down there and then measured them, okay? And then provide an explanation. I was talking to my friend who teaches at Pleasant Valley in the Quad Cities, And we were lamenting this, and then I graded him. I was like, oh no! The number one way not to get points on a question like this is to write human error. Okay? Do not write human error. Human error does not mean anything, and it's a total cop-out. Okay? Be specific. Tell me what the error may have been. Okay? Is it possible that there was not communication between the person dropping the ball and the person that had the stopwatch? Is it possible that we, missed something? Do you know what I mean? Like, be specific about that. I don't think anybody noted this, but you could have noted that when you linearize it, or even if you didn't, there's one point that's like really, it's kind of like an outlier.
Yeah.
And so maybe you could say, oh, if we take that outlier, like that was a mistake, we screwed that one up. And you don't have to go back through and like recalculate it, but you could say, oh, if we take that one out, then the slope is going to change, and this is how it would change, and that would help. Okay? Those would be specific, thoughtful things that would help to explain differences between the expected and the experimental value. Okay? Does that make sense? Would or could air resistance have affected this? If air resistance was acting, tell me about the acceleration due to gravity. Would it be larger or smaller?
Smaller.
It would be smaller. Okay? So, and again, I didn't like parse this out because I was grading this late at night and early in the morning. If you got something greater than 9.8, blaming air resistance is not a good plan. Okay, that would imply that the air resistance pushed it down faster. You with me there? Which doesn't make sense. Okay, if you got something that was less than 9.8, you got something like 7 point something or 8 point something or whatever, then maybe, the air resistance is pretty negligible in this experiment, but that would be a reasonable explanation there. Okay. Does that make sense? Does that seem fair and okay? Okay. Once you're finished with that, like I said, I have not recorded those, so I really do need them back. Why don't you bring them and we can send one person from your table up to bring them up here. Question?
I put air resistance in my slope.
And I gave you one at a time for that, but I wanted you to tell me more.
Did you get it? Yeah.
Could have been because of reaction. What do you mean because of reaction? Didn't I? Yeah, I only took one because there were 4 questions. One was worth 2 points. Yeah.
Okay,
So it wasn't air
resistance. I wouldn't just put air resistance or
I mean, if you had just put air resistance, I probably would have said, what about, could there have been some measurement errors, right? But I wanted you to tell me a little bit more than just.
And also, I squared it. None of your business.
It has to be squared there as well.
None of your business. Yeah. Was double digits or not?
It has one. Consistency, right? Yeah.
Oh, we have the class. It sounds too similar.
Yeah. So I think I would actually because you wrote that.
You're Gary.
It's
not Gary.
All right. Rizal, will you do me a favor and go grab Aiden from the hallway? I would appreciate that very much. All right. Let's see, how are we doing? Holy cow, we gotta hurry. Everybody in here is taking this test, correct? The Unit 3 test or Unit 2.5 test or whatever it's called? Yeah, I think, yeah. Circle that. I think I had the same reaction I did to John. No! So in the future, don't use that word, that phrase. Circle it and I'll change it.
I could